Hey guys, hope you guys had a great start to your 2024 and all set up for the new year. Saturday morning, I'm driving to the gym to train arms with one of my friends who moved down from Sydney. Today I felt like making a video. Firstly, it's been a while since I made a video, a long one. These longer form videos take ages to edit, so it's a tedious thing to sit down and edit like a 30-minute video. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying these for those who actually are watching. So yeah, start of the year has been pretty good. I'm sort of just trying to get myself prepared for Japan to make sure that everything is still in place when I'm away. Still be able to take calls, still having a consistent flow of people coming in wanting to work with me. That's really what I'm trying to focus on at the moment. So, yeah, last time I went away for this long, this trip's only 3 weeks, but the last time I went away on a bigger trip was last year when I went Europe and Korea. That was around like I think 4.5 weeks. And I was a lot more nervous about that then because it was my first overseas trip for that long away whilst actually coaching, and it turned out to be just fine. Like I was stressing over nothing because I feel like I definitely did have the right system in place which allowed me to have everything ready and good to go. So whilst I'm away, and the business is still running really well. Clients are still happy with their service, and and the results keep coming in. That's what I'm really trying to aim for. So today I feel like I wanted to talk about something a bit more fitness related. I think now I want to sort of talk about how fitness actually changed my life or impacted me to where I am now. So yeah, I think it's important to understand why I got into the gym to begin with, because not everyone gets to the gym. And I remember it vividly as well to be able to explain it in detail. So growing up, I was always a very, very skinny kid. I said this in a previous video. I could probably pop a picture like here or something showing you what I really looked like when I was a kid. Yeah, it was just, I grew up right around that 50 to 57 kilo range for a very, very long time. I had a growth spurt, and I started looking very, very lanky. And so yeah, growing up as a skinny kid who wasn't very strong, I developed a lot of insecurities where I wasn't very happy with what I saw in the mirror. I knew I wasn't strong and I knew I wasn't muscular. And so at that age, that's sort of the age where I think a lot of insecurities stem from. Because I feel like if you're around people who are not the same, because I went to schools where there were a lot of big guys, not muscular wise, but just much bigger frame than me. They played things like football, soccer. They were much more athletic than me. So yeah, being around these types of guys, I feel like I always felt like I was deficient. Like when we played sports, I wasn't the quickest, I wasn't the strongest. It was clear as well, and even though I did play sports myself, I never really excelled to the point where, I don't know, how do I say it? Like to the point where it was respected, I guess. But yeah, I remember growing up, I would, and obviously at that age, you don't really know too much about fashion and stuff. But what I do remember is when I was wearing clothing, I felt very small in them. I felt very insecure because like nothing was really fitting me. Nothing was fitting me, even the smalls. I would always wear track pants, I would always wear track suits, wear a jacket zip up, to make sure people could not see how skinny I was, basically. But I think the main thing that really bugged me was the fact that I wasn't strong. When we did things like the physical fitness stuff in high school, I was always nervous because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to get today. I don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I really did okay at was the beep test, right? But besides that, everything else I performed terribly at. I think even like with things like swimming and into the swimming carnival, athletics carnival, even though I knew how to swim, I was still too scared to do it in front of other people. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I just didn't want to be topless in front of a lot of people, to be honest. But with the athletics carnival, like in my mind already, I knew I wasn't going to win. And so I was like, what's the point? I'm just going to, I knew if I come last, and people would make fun of me, or that's what I believed anyway. I believe people would make fun of me. If I was genuinely very slow, people would make fun of me. I basically didn't want anyone to know that I wasn't strong, that I wasn't athletic, and I wasn't quick. I didn't like the idea of looking the part either. Now, I'm not saying I was depressed about this at all or anything like that, but it was definitely something that played on my mind since young. I really respected athletes, and when you look at these athletes, they're usually strong, they're usually athletic, they're usually a lot more confident, and I really liked the idea of being that person, of someone who was very committed to their health and to their fitness. But I think what really tipped it off for me was when I was getting into table tennis. Alright, I started getting table tennis a lot more seriously, started playing a lot more competitively. Then all of a sudden, even though I was doing well, I remember I used to get made comments towards about being even though it was a joke, it was like, oh, that Chinese kid who's just playing ping pong. and they'll crack jokes about it. Some people definitely did mean it in a much more negative way, whilst others were just saying it as like a passing comment, which I didn't mind as much, but it still bugged me to a point. I'll be honest, I went to a predominantly white school where there was a lot of footballers, a lot of soccer players. Yeah, I do remember getting these comments, and yeah, like I said, not all of them meant anything by it, but when you just hear it enough time after time, then it starts getting quite annoying. And around this point, around like that year 8, 9, 10, this is also where I started getting comments about my body as well. You know, I am being called a skinny cunt. You know, I am being called fucking just a ping pong player. Like, I'm not gonna say I was bullied. I wasn't bullied, but you know that feeling when you just keep getting these comments. I'm sure a lot of you guys will feel this way. Like, so if you just keep hearing the same comment over and over, and it happens enough times, you start really getting annoyed by it because you know it's true, right? You know it's true, and you don't want it to be true. And so that was where I was really at, right? It wasn't just people at school. It was also like, you know, it was just in general. I was being called skinny. I was being called lanky. I was being called just like a ping pong player, a Chinese ping pong player. And that wasn't what I wanted to associate with. And it started to play with my confidence a lot. Like, I couldn't even be like, I wanted to be proud of how I was doing in table tennis. I still couldn't do that because I felt like I was embarrassed to play table tennis. At least telling people about table tennis, right? I felt like I was embarrassed because like people wouldn't understand, right? That it actually requires training to get good at it. It actually requires some level of physical fitness. You know what I mean? And it's almost like I finally found something that I really enjoyed and I could actually do well at, and it still wasn't respected. And so, if you can imagine how that felt being a kid, it started to make me even a lot more insecure because, like, you know, and people asked me about how things are going with table tennis, but I felt like they were only asking to have like crack a joke about it. And so I got sick of it. I remember I spoke to one of my friends who was heavily into the gym. I brought it up in this video before, but I spoke to him, said I want you to take me to the gym. I remember we had a chat, and I said I want you to take me to the gym and show me what to do in there. And it really just stemmed from the idea I was just sick of feeling weak, and I was sick of looking weak. He took me to the gym, and I remember the first thing that we did was he challenged me to squat the bar for like 20 reps, like 20 reps or something, like just once. So I got on the bar, and like obviously I was excited, so I got on the bar, I started squatting, and I don't know about the technique. And I remember squatting for like fucking 20 reps, 25 reps, or some crazy shit like that for the first time in my life. Yeah, went through like I could barely do much more of the session, and then I remember being so sore for like a week that I just didn't go back for a very, very long time because it just scared me. I was like, fuck, this is crazy. Like, I've never been so sore in my life, and it was only from one set of squats, really. But then as some time went on, I started going to the gym a bit more, and then before you know it, I was like two years into my training. Now it was very loose, but I was consistently going. It was at least like 3, 4, 5 times a week, most weeks. And it got to a point where it had become a big part of my life. I want to sort of talk about how that sort of impacted me till now, from where I was before. Talking on a surface level, obviously I started to build more muscle. I started to look better. I started to get physically bigger. I started to get physically stronger. In fact, I got strong quite quick. I think I deadlifted 220, and it wasn't not the hardest rep. It was a tough rep, but I feel like I could have got more in like year 11, which was like 2 years into my training. I think I deadlifted like 140 only a few months into my training. I was just training really fucking hard. Like I was training hard, and like obviously I was under the right. This was a point where it was just like the ego lifting. I just wanted to go in, train hard. To be honest, it was a place for me to escape as well. You know, and after school, whether I wasn't in a good mood or something, I'll just go to the gym and I'll just train. These are the times where my training sessions were like 2-3 hours, and my friends can attest to this. They used to train with me, and it was like we would just do everything that we could in that one session, and we'd do that multiple times in the week. And to be honest, even though I know it's not the smartest way to train now, it was a lot of fucking fun. And so there's a few things that I learned during this period. Well, the first thing is, as I got stronger, as I got more confident, the insecurities started going away. Well, the ones that I had before about being small and being skinny and being weak and being fragile, those obviously started to go away. I started to build confidence that I was able to get strong. Started to build confidence as I was able to build a body that I would be proud of. So that was a massive change, right? Being insecure for so long as a kid, and finally starting to see myself grow into, I would say, more of a man, looking like more of a man. I finally started to see some changes. And funny enough, other people started to notice, right? Other people started to notice the changes as well. and they started to ask what I'm doing. They no longer made comments about me playing table tennis. They started to ask what I was doing in the gym. All right, and that's the moment that I felt like, okay, cool. I found something that people actually respect. Now, I know this sounds like I was doing it for other people. Trust me when I say I was doing it for myself, but it sure fucking feels good when someone else notices your progress. And what now the same people who are making fun of you playing table tennis are now asking you about your training. So that was a good feeling, right? And I have no resentment towards people. Like I said, I wasn't bullied. It was just people making comments. So I wasn't bullied by any means, if anyone interprets it this way. That was one of the big changes, was the fact that I was just building more confidence in myself and around other people. Because now I knew I was doing something that people wanted to learn more about. The counteract to this, right? The counterpart is that more insecurities came that weren't related to this. So I had no longer had insecurities about being that skinny, weak table tennis player, Chinese kid. Now I had insecurities about how I was looking when it comes to my progress. And it still happens now. Like even to this point, even to this day, I still get those insecurities. Especially with the route that I took, which is like I wanted to keep growing, I wanted to keep progressing. If you get to a point where you're happy with your body, then it won't happen for you. But for me, I wanted to keep growing. I felt like I wanted to get stronger. And it was just like this constant pursuit of progression. And so there was always some sort of like deficiency in how I looked or how strong I was that I'm always chasing. And I'd rather have that than have the insecurity of how I felt before. So I'm not complaining. All right. So that's the first thing. My confidence levels grew. But the second thing is my confidence in myself to be someone committed grew. All right. Because think about it this way, the gym and showing up to the gym every single session that you're scheduled is a skill in itself. It is a way to hone in on your level of commitment that can apply to a lot of facets of life. Right? And so like I said, I was consistent from the get-go. And so being a young kid, going to the gym 4, 5, 6 times, no matter what happens, I didn't care what time it was, I didn't care how tired I was, I would make sure to walk to the gym, even if it took me 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I would make sure to ride my scooter to the gym, even if it meant riding for 40 minutes to the other gym that was open late night. It didn't bother me. And so, yes, although I actually enjoyed it, so it's not really discipline, but it at least showed me that when I do enjoy something, I can be very, very committed to it. And there, of course, were days where I didn't want to go, right? But I still did it anyway. And so the confidence that I grew in terms of my physical appearance is far lower than the confidence that I grew seeing that I could be someone that was much more committed than what I thought I was. Because before this, the only thing I ever really committed to was table tennis. Everything else I stopped and started. Every single thing that I want, like I'm talking about that in that young age gap. But even to this day, there have been a lot of things that I wanted to start and I don't follow through with it. But gym has always been that thing. I don't care how tired I am, because it's now become part of. It's become a non-negotiable in my life, right? That confidence was really important because it's a great feeling to know that you have something that's in your life that you don't necessarily have to do, but you do it because you want to, and you do it because you know you should, or that because the results are what's more important than how you feel. And so this is something I always tell my clients, like, you don't have to love the gym. You don't have to love the whole idea of healthy eating. You don't have to love the idea of exercise. But what you should do is fall in love with the idea of being that person anyway. Because it's going to only benefit you from doing it. The gym is not something that's going to take away from your life. Right? Eating healthy is not going to take away from your life. It's going to add onto your life right now. And so it shouldn't be something that you need to contemplate. Whether it's the gym, whether it's running, whether it's martial arts, whether it's sport, whatever it is, whatever form of physical activity that you want to do, it should be part of your life, because not just because you love it, right? That's one thing. Yes, you might love it. Awesome. But if you don't, you should do it anyway. Exercise, physical activity is one of those only things where the work that you put in is the return that you're going to get from it. The more consistent you are, the more return you're going to get from it by the end of the day. What I'm really trying to say is that the confidence, how it impacted my life was firstly the physical appearance side of stuff. The confidence that I grew from not being that skinny kid, that skinny, scrawny, lanky kid anymore, to now being someone who is actually capable and feels strong, and I would like to say looks strong. Right? Now, like I said, more insecurities came from that, which is another topic in itself, but that doesn't mean that I'm not happy. Right? I've never been happier, right, in my life since I met the gym, since I started going to the gym. And I really do believe that sort of same level of happiness purely came from just knowing that I was building the body and building the strength that I've always wanted. Now, you might not have that same goal, but you might want to be healthier. You might want to be more mobile. You might want to, be leaner. Like, these are all things that you can achieve. And far too often people think that like that feeling of accomplishment is going to be it's going to be small, but it's not. It's significant. I promise you, when you get in shape, when you start looking after yourself, that feeling that you get is incomparable. Right? Like like especially those first few months and those first few years of training where you start seeing like insane results, that's when that addiction comes. But far too often people stop before they're able to see those type of results. And so they never truly fall in love with it. And that's the thing that I try to instill in a lot of my clients, is that you have to give it more time before you decide whether or not you really like it or not. But even if you don't, the second layer of confidence I built was simply from the fact that I was doing something, right? I was staying committed to something even if I didn't want to. And like I said, this whole thing applies to and like I said, this sort of mentality can apply to all other facets of life. Whether it's your work, whether it's your relationship, whether it's, I don't know, anything else that you're having a hard time with. Because I promise you, all you need is that one thing to prove to you how much more committed you can really be as an individual. And before you know it, you'll be a very different person once you start seeing the results come in. Because you're seeing your work pay off. Those were definitely the first two things that I noticed straight away. It wasn't just about being more confident in myself and also how I looked. It was also being more confident in the person that I was becoming from staying committed to the gym. It gave me structure, it gave me routine. It helped me meet a lot of great people. Some of the closest friends that I have now came from the gym. It came from just saying, hey, do you want to go have a session? Do you want to go train? We end up training and we get along and we have more training sessions, and before you know it, we're hanging out outside of the gym. Then now all of a sudden we've built a friendship. And literally some of my best friends and closest friends now, and best friendships in the past, came from the gym. There have been so many benefits that have come from just simply lifting weights up and down. And so many improvements in my life, and so many different characteristic traits that I've developed from being in the gym. Because look, I've said this before in one of my pieces of content. The gym is not the hardest thing that you'll do in your life. It's not. Like, it's easier than showing up to a job that you absolutely hate, right? And it's easier than dealing with a lot of the other daily stresses that a lot of people tend to go through. And so it's, like I said, it's not the hardest thing that you do in your life, but by showing yourself that you can be committed to it, you do something that is not necessarily hard, but it's something that you don't want to do every single day. You do it regardless of how you feel. And if you do that with enough times, you end up applying that to a lot of different things. Now, all of a sudden, going to that job that you don't hate to support yourself doesn't seem so hard anymore. Now, all of a sudden, doing that tedious thing around the house that you don't want to do doesn't feel so hard anymore. And so it's not just about the physical changes that you can achieve. And it's not just about the physical changes for me that I experienced. For me, the biggest impact that the gym has had on me is just simply learning the skill of doing something even if you don't want to do it. And that has applied to many, many other areas of my life up till now. I hope that makes sense, guys. I don't think I really thought this video out properly enough. I think that was a little bit fucking messy, to be honest. Hopefully if I edit this up, it comes through a little bit smoother than I think it is in my mind right now. But just to give you guys a quick recap, basically all I'm saying is how the gym impacted me was the confidence that it built up in me as a young, scrawny, skinny kid growing up. It built confidence in my physical appearance and built confidence in my strength. Not just physical strength though, also my mental strength. It also instilled the confidence in me to be able to do the things that I know I should do, but I don't feel like doing in that moment. If you see the fittest people in the world and you see the people who are in great shape, they are no different to you. Yes, their genetics may be different, but they are literally no different to you. The only thing that's different between you and them is that they are more consistent and they've been in there for much longer than you. They have been able to stay in the gym for 5 years consistently rather than compared to a lot of people who do it for 6 months, stop for 1 month, do it for 2 months, stop for 5 months. That's the only difference. Everyone can get stronger. Everyone can build a better body. Everyone can build confidence. And I think the sooner people understand that, the more appreciative they'll be of the fact that they have that opportunity to do so, and they'll actually take it and make sure that it happens. hopefully that helps explain how the gym has impacted me in a very, very short, brief video. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks, guys.